Hey everyone, today I am working on a 25 horse Kawasaki. Previously I made a video on the throttle and governor controls for a Briggs Intec Twin, and that seemed to be pretty popular. People seem to like the explanation of governor spring, linkage, governor setting, how everything works on this control mechanism. And the Kawasaki's are a little different, so I thought I would make a video. This particular motor, a guy brought it to a shop. It was smoking badly, and they told him the cylinder bores were too smooth, and they were a little smooth, but that was not the cause of his problem. But anyway, they had taken it apart, and they wanted over $2,000 to reassemble, and actually I think they just wanted to sell him a short block. They didn't even want to rebuild it. It cost even more than that. But I got it in pieces and didn't have the knowledge of how it was taken apart. It's been a while since I've done a Kawasaki. Most of my stuff is Briggs, it seems. But I had a service manual, and even in the service manual, it's hard to find pictures of how everything goes together. Part of why I'm making this video. Sorry, the lighting is a little bit poor in here, but there's two things that I hate about Kawasaki's. One being the control plate, everything is hidden behind it. So every picture and every video you find, everything's hidden. And everything I got was in a box, so I had no idea where the springs and everything were connected on the back of this control plate. And I didn't want to do it 10 different times, figuring out which hole everything went in. So I figure I'll try and save somebody some trouble in the future. The other thing I hate about Kawasaki's, these, where's my hand? I can't see on this video. These stupid pins they put through your coil pack. So these pins and these acorn nuts go up onto your shroud. Well, normally it's not a problem, but what happens, and I've seen this before, is these pins don't have any thread locker on them. I don't know if it's so you can get them out or why they don't do it, but if you get a little crazy with these acorn nuts and you tighten them up too much, the next time you go to take them off, if you need to take the shroud off for some reason, you loosen this and then the shaft loosens a little bit. And you may not notice that. And then what happens is your coil pack eventually turns in, and the edge of your coil will eventually catch the magnet as it flies around, and it'll rip these aluminum standoffs right off the top of the block, rendering the top of your block useless. I don't know why they do this. I hate that design. So I usually put some red Loctite on here. You can remove it. It's not the permanent stuff, but I recommend you do the same, because I've seen more than one ruined block. I've bought more than one junk or so-called junk motor, and I find a used cylinder block and freshen it up. But anyway, the real purpose of this video is to show you this guy and what's behind it. So I'll take out the two bolts so you can see the back end of it. Main reason I'm doing this is because it's a little bit backwards from a Briggs. So if you watch my other video, you can get a lot of information on there on how the Briggs is set up and how to set a governor and everything. Similar parts, carb, fuel shutoff solenoid. So on the back of this plate, you've got similar things to a Briggs. And I'm going to get a light in here so you can see. This big fat spring down here, that's your governor spring. The Briggs has two different springs. They've got a governed idle spring, and then they have their governor spring. The Kawasaki just has this one big spring in here that controls the governor arm. There is, it's hard to see, there's another one right back here. I don't know if you can see this one. That is just a choke return spring. So all that does is it connects to this choke rod, this lever right here, which is the top one that's got yellow paint on it. You can see it moving right there. That is just a choke return. So some have it, some don't. The choke rod, though, if you can see that right here, goes through that hole. The spring goes through the same hole. And then the choke rod comes up here and locks into your carb on the back side with this little locking lever on there to keep it in place. The throttle arm Very similar to the Briggs, goes through the bottom hole of the governor arm there. Spring goes in the small hole next to it. Comes up here. And similar, locks in with a little locking tab to keep it in the hole itself. The difference between the Briggs and this one is on a Briggs, when you push the governor arm down, that goes full throttle. On a Kawasaki, or at least this one, this is an FH721V, I guess I failed to mention that. Full throttle is up. So similar to my other video, there's your, this is your idle speed adjustment screw right here. So when you're on that, you're in idle. When I push the governor arm up, that goes to full throttle. So this is exactly the opposite of the Briggs when you try and set the governor. It's opposite direction, I should say. It's the same procedure. You want the governor arm in full throttle position, loosen your bolt, and then you turn the spindle the same direction as full throttle. So you turn this one counterclockwise to set your governor. After that, everything is pretty straightforward. There's just two bolts that hold this control plate on. And if I can get them in place, the only challenging part on this, or the part that I don't like, is that if you take it off, on this one side is just a plain hole. On this side, it's a slot. So usually, if it's not spanking clean, which this one is not, it's not terrible, you can see, I don't know if you can see down there, right here, you can see where the screw head used to be. So as long as you get that set in the same position, you're generally pretty darn close, and the rest you can adjust with everything else. I mean, you can bend the tangs a little bit to get the governor spring set just like you can on the Briggs, but usually it doesn't require a whole lot. Other than that, pretty close to the Kohlers and the Briggs, but I just thought people might appreciate being able to see the back side of this plate. If there's any more questions, just ask. I can try and send you a better picture, a better text response. The service manual is easy to find. I believe this is the same for the 680, 721, a host of other ones. It's just a vertical V-twin. So any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, hope you enjoy. Thanks.